Hey guys, and welcome to Nick Grit. In today's video, we're going to go over how to make this really cute little ghosty guy. So this is an amigurumi piece that is all done, and the main part of it is just one big piece. There's no detaching, and then you'll make two arms that you do attach, and then you've got your little eyes. If you like videos like this, do hit the subscribe button. It does help us out. I have a new backdrop today, so let me know if you guys like that. The dark wood versus the marble. It's in a different place, which has much better lighting. So I'm going to see if I can kind of navigate towards making stuff in here. I'm pretty excited with how this looks. I actually made this table, so that was pretty exciting. I'm planning on doing a couple more Halloween amigurumis. I have been away for a little bit because I had to deal with some family issues. My mom's apartment complex burnt down, so we had to help her get out of her smoke-ridden apartment complex, which was really kind of crazy. She was really fortunate in that the fire stopped literally at the apartment right next to hers, so we just had to deal with moving her out and getting her situated out of that. So that's why I haven't uploaded in a while. If anybody was, curious or following, probably not, but you're probably just here for the ghost amigurumis, which is fair. So alright, let's get started. To start your project, you're going to need some worsted weight yarn. For this specific ghost that I made, I used white Caron Simply Soft. So this is a little bit thinner than if you were to use Vanna's Choice. You'll get a bigger amigurumi if you use something that looks a little bit... It's hard to describe. I say worsted weight, but like Caron Simply Soft is going to be different than, say, Red Heart Soft or Vanna's Choice or anything like that. Vanna's Choice is going to be pretty much really thick, so if you want one that looks pretty much here up to here instead, like half an inch taller, use Vanna's Choice. The Red Heart Soft is probably going to be the second closest to this yarn if you're looking for something in case you guys don't have Caron Simply Soft where you live. You're also going to need a crochet hook, which is, I am using a USD 3 from Susan Bates. I love Susan Bates. I do not care for foils. They don't have a hook that I like, so I'm using specifically a Susan Bates. You're going to also need some stuffing, and you're also going to need a darning needle to help sew in your pieces, and you're also going to need two 10 to 12 millimeter. The bigger the eyes, the more kawaii or cute or adorable it will look. So I like using, I think I use 12s for mine, double safety eyes. So there's little backs on the underside of this. I'll show you when we're putting the eyes on exactly how this looks. I just don't have one right on hand this very second. Alright, let's get started. So I'm keeping my yarn over there, and I'm essentially doing the same thing as I did for my amigurumi ball. So I'm not really going to describe how to do the increasing on here. I have a video for that, which I will link down below, and hopefully up in the annotation as well. So if you're interested in learning how to do the basics of amigurumi, that's really a place that you should start. I ended up doing a increase up to 36 stitches. I'm going to put a chart around here and some written description if at any point you're confused. I do also have a PDF pattern on my Ravelry store. So I did my increasing where I made my ring. I increased every other, every third, every fourth, and then every fifth. So those how I did that, and that's exactly how we did it in the amigurumi ball pattern, except I did it one less. This time I did it one more, making 36 instead of 30 like in that tutorial. So here, I'm going to just single crochet around for 10 pieces. The big complex part of this ghost is not doing the main part here, but finishing up on the bottom, how I did that curling, and how I end up closing up on the bottom, going through the backs of the stitches from a previous round. I'll show you exactly how I do that, but for now, let's just single crochet around for 11 rounds, and I'll show you what that looks like once we're done. I will be right back. Okay, so I finished my 11 rows around, and I did the entirety of my little ends here, and then I realized that my audio was not working, and that was very, very sad. I'm working with a microphone now, and I'm not used to having to turn that thing on, so that was me being dumb, and I added the eyes already, so I add my eyes between rows 8 and 9 of this entire piece. I use safety eyes, so they have these little tiny cappers on the very back that keeps the eyes from popping out, and I'm going to show you how I do mine. I do that about an inch apart in between. This is 8, this is 9. I stick in between 8 and 9 this way. and they're about an inch apart in between their eyes, so about 6 stitches or so. Alright, I'm sorry about that. I actually went on a whole like tirade, but honestly this works out better because it's not as wasteful on time. So I undid everything that I had just done, and I'll show you how I do my little scalloped edge for my ghost, I guess. The ethereal wispiness. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to go into our 12th round, essentially, and we're going to stick our needle into the first stitch of our next round. We're going to slip stitch off, and we're then going to go into the next stitch and place 6 single crochet inside of that stitch. So 1, 2, 3, all inside the same stitch, 4, still in the stitch, 5, still in the stitch, and 6. You'll notice that that stitch has a nice big wide hole in it now. It's okay when it's kind of sitting, you can't really tell where that hole is. It kind of sinks up. It's not a big deal. So we did 6 stitches in there. We are now going to skip the next stitch and slip stitch into the next one. This is just 12 repetitions. You should get 12 scallops amongst your 36 stitches this way. So we're going to, again, we slip stitch going into the next stitch where we 1, same 1, 2, 3, same 1, 4, 5, and the same stitch 6. We're going to skip the stitch after that, and we're going to slip stitch into the next one. We're going to continue in this motion for the entire way around for our 12th row around, essentially, not including our increasing stitches here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I lost it. 4, 5, and 6. Skip, slip. So 6, skip, slip. 6, skip, slip. 6, skip, slip. All the way around until you get 12 scallops. I will be right back once I get my 12th scallop around, and I'll show you how I close off and how I start doing my back post. Not really back post, I'm working through the back stitches of this in order to get this nice flat bottom for the ghostykin. I'll show you how I do that once I finish off this scalloping right here and make sure that my audio worked. Be right back. Okay, I am struggling with this camera right now, and I do not know why. I finished all 12 of my little guys. I, in fact, went into the entirety of how to start doing the backside. As you can see, my stitches are undone. I'm not undoing it for a 3rd time, so I undid that part, but I'm not undoing everything else, so I'm just gonna have to deal with the fact that the stitches look a little wobbly on the underside for a hot second. Alright, so, and I had already cut my yarn and everything, so I had to undo that. So I'm just having a rough time with this whole new camera and new microphone thing. Alright, so I finished my last cluster right there, and I'm going to skip my first stitch here, and I'm going to slip stitch into there, pull it through. Alright, so now we have slip stitched off, and now we are going to work through the back stitches from our round 3. And the way that I go about that is I will first pick up my crochet hook if I can, but apparently I'm having a hard time with that as well. Today is a struggle. And I'm going to find my yarn. Here we go. This is my active working yarn. And I'm going to, there we go, not go off screen, which I have a tendency to do. And now I'm going to place my crochet hook inside of the first stitch adjacent from where I just slip stitch off. I'm going to put my yarn down, and I'm going to slip stitch it into that stitch right there. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go back inside that same stitch, and I'm going to single crochet 1. That is our first one there. Now that I'm attached, I don't have to do anything fancy. I can just go into the next stitch and single crochet, 2, 3, 4. So I've done 4 stitches now, and because I have 36 stitches all the way around, I'm just going to keep my tail from where I started inside the work there. Because I have 36 stitches, I like to decrease the same way that I did for my amigurumi ball. I'm going to decrease 6 stitches each round, and that's going to include when we pick up here. So we've done 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to take 5 and 6, which will be a little tricky. 5 and 6, 1, 2, just like we did for our amigurumi ball and how we do decreases there. I'm going to pick up both of those stitches and I'm going to put them together. So now I have 5 stitches. This is going to take us from 36 stitches around down to 30 stitches around. I'm going to do that one more time and then I'll show you how I attach once I get around. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If you are struggling with getting through both 5 and 6, you can just skip 5 and go into 6. If you would like, if you find that to be a little bit easier, I find that it looks neater when I go through 5 and 6. And you're going to keep doing that all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can also pick up 5 and 6 and kind of, before you get through both of them, and kind of lift them so that they're easier to get through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go through both. If you are having a hard time getting through it, kind of just make sure that your stitch is in there and that you're pulling up with it. It makes it a lot easier to get through both. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go through. See what I mean by I'm pulling up with it by using my hook to its best advantage right there. 1. Actually, this is our last one. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If I don't split my yarn, of course I do it on the last one. 5 and 6 together, and now we're going to go back into the very first single crochet that we did for this round for our decreasing. We're going to go back and work through the fronts of the stitches just like we would normally. I'm back in. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and we're going to take 4 and 5 like normal, 4 and 5, and put them together. This is just like with our amigurumi ball and how we did our decreases that way. We are treating our decreases the same as we did then now. So we're going to go from 30 stitches down to 24, from 24 down to 18, from 18 down to 12, and from 12 down to 6. I then take my 6 and I slip stitch through I slip my finishing yarn, like my tail, through all of it, and then I pull it together, just like I do with my amigurumi ball, and it's super easy peasy. So I'm going to show you again one more time. I'm going to go through the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And our next round we're going to do 3 and 4, then 2 and 3, then 1 and 2, and then every other until we get down to 6 essentially. After this round is done, this is when I like to start stuffing, so I'm going to show you how I go about that in just a second. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, and 5. Alright, so now our hole is starting to close up and we're going to have a harder time stuffing as we go, so I like to stuff as I go along here. I'm going to take my tail that was in there and I'm going to tuck it in instead of having it hanging out over here. We are going to now take some stuffing and start placing it in there as we can. I like to start at the top and kind of work around, making sure that my eyes' backs are not being pushed against in a way that makes it so that they are angling in a not great way. Just kind of pushing things as they go. Pushing around the eyes to make sure that they end up okay. I like to kind of just keep going like so. Pushing it along the edging and creating kind of a divot in the center, making sure that everything gets pushed outward so that it's smooth on the outer corners, if that makes any sense. I kind of push it outward like that, making sure that all these are pushed inward. Pushed outward, really. Making sure not to keep my pulled out stitch in there. There we go. And you'll notice that he's already starting to take shape quite a bit. This is what I mean by the eye, so I'm going to go up there and make sure that it is angling in a different way so that it doesn't, there we go, look like it's doing something weird. It's always easy to fix these things while you're stuffing. It is harder to do so once you already have everything closed off. So that's why I kind of pay attention to my eyes and make sure that they're not doing anything horrendously weird that makes my amigurumi look off. I kind of noticed there's a hole there, so let's kind of make sure that that gets nice and stuffed. I always push from the outer like that, and now I've got this little hole there. Alright, now that we're here, it's not completely stuffed. I kind of stuff as I go along with my decreases. I'm going to start doing my my every 3 and 4. So I'm going to go 1. Am I facing the right way? I am not. There we go. My 1, 2, and then instead of 4 and 5, it's going to be 3 and 4 because we decreased 6 stitches previously, which is going to make it so that we have a 1 less to go around this time around. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to keep doing this all the way around. And 3 and 4. I kind of pull my tail a little bit more and I kind of squish around and figure out where I need to add more stuffing. Because I'm going to need to add more stuffing depending on how I want its shape to take form. So I'm going to add that kind of to the top here. I'm going to add more to the center. I kind of press on the outside while I'm doing this a lot of the time so that I can feel where the bumps are and I can fix that as I go along. So here's another one here, and now I'm at the point where I'm mostly satisfied with how it's stuffed. So I'm gonna go and instead of 3 and 4 I decrease, I'm gonna do every 2 and 3. So this is gonna be really quick. We're just gonna go, preferably not with my stitch going the wrong way. 1, and then 2 and 3 are gonna go together like so. As you get closer to the bottom, it gets harder to kind of show how it's done. 1, 2, and 3. Oop. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2 and 3, 2 and 3. What I like about working with white yarn is you don't notice polyfill nearly as much when you pick it up and decide to crochet with it. It's either a good thing or a bad thing. You know, it depends on how lazy you are and whether or not you care. Alright, so this is going from, we just went from 18 stitches down to 12, and this will be our last decrease round, and then I'll show you how I basically close things up. This is the last row that I typically let myself stuff, and it should be pretty much done there. I can still put my finger in there, so we're gonna try to get as much of that closed up as we can. It doesn't need to be super dramatic, and I keep pushing more in there, and it keeps, you can overstuff, and it can make things look a little bit wonky and weird, but I think I'm not there yet. I try to gently push in there and not like jam it in. So there's like a certain giveness to it. Giving. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. Okay. That'll pretty much do it. I always try on the very end to get a little bit of a flatter piece kind of going across all of it, if that makes any sense how I'm doing this right now. And then I will decrease. So now I'm at the point where I will decrease every single one. So this is the one that I just went into. So 1, 2. Yep, and that was going the right way for once. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. How many am I now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I got one more. For this last one, I typically skip this next one instead of decreasing by adding 2. I usually skip this and then I'll just slip stitch into the next one. And then I'll slip stitch off like so. And then I will break my yarn, pull my tail through, and you'll notice, hey, there's still a hole. Same as with my amigurumi ball, I'm going to take my yarn and pull it through all 6 of those stitches. Go into my stitch, pull the tail through. Go into the stitch, pull my tail through, go into the stitch 4 times, pull it through 5. You need to do this 6 times because there's 6 stitches. And then on the final stitch, we're going to not go down the center of it. Oh, come on, don't be difficult. There we go. And pull the tail through. Here, I pull on my tail to make sure it's as tight as it can go. And then I'm going to take my darning needle and I'm going to pull that through, and I'm going to pull this through. I'll be right back as I grab my darning needle because I realize I don't have one on my desk right now. Be right back. Alright, so now I've got my darning needle. I found it. And I'm going to put that through the entire center of my little ghost. I'm going to kind of just plop them out there, and now that's pretty much as hidden as it's going to get. Try to pull it one more time, and then I'll cut that off. I'm going to do the same thing with my other tail, where I go through the underside of the first stitch that it's in front of, pull that through, go through the other side that is going through, pull that through, and now that's pretty much seamless. And so now I'm going to kind of go through the back stitch on the underside, and I'm going to push it into basically the main of the rest of it and kind of feed it through the rest of my... I'm just hiding my tails at this point. That way you can't see them. Seamless. And now the only thing we have left for our little ghostykin is to make these cute... Let's cut those tails off for once. And to make these cute little arms. You can easily go with the arms, or if you really just like the aesthetic of just a little ghosty guy, you can go with this as well. But I like how the arms look. I think they look inviting and cute, so I'm going to make the little arms and I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to take our yarn, we're going to do again while we make a ring. We're going to do a quick little slip knot, and the way that I do my magic ring is essentially by chaining 2. 1, 2. Just like in my original Amigurumi video, we're going to skip this one and go into the very first chain that you made there. We're going to put 5 single crochet inside of there. 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to pull our tail. We're then going to increase each one of those stitches from 5 up to 10. So we're going to put 2 single crochet inside of each of these stitches, just like we did for our increase originally. 1, 2. 1, 2. So this is now 4 stitches into our new row. I always kind of count like 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. Then we're just going to single crochet around once. Super easy. So 1, 2, 3. Oh no! 3. Why am I not able to pick up? There we go. 3. There we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Slip stitch off. These arms are super easy, and we're just going to attach that one arm. I don't even stuff when it comes to these arms, and I'm gonna put them right along the side of our little ghostie's body. Super easy. We're gonna make 2 of those, and then I'll be right back and I'll show you how I sew them on. Okay, so we just cut off all of our tails, and I just made the second one of our arm. And the way that I like to go about this is I take my tail and I kind of make my guy go on his side here, and I sew into the side like so, and then I go from the top down into the bottom of the stitch on my actual arm itself. I continue on in this pattern around for my arm. I go around from the top down to the bottom, go back into my work here. I just go into the body, and then from the top down into the bottom of the arm, going around where basically my arm should be. continue to do that for both arms all the way around. Obviously one arm at a time, but like I repeat this for my other arm as well. This is how I always add my amigurumi pieces. And I think next week I'm going to be working on a cute little candy corn amigurumi. If anybody's interested in that, I'm pretty excited about it. At some point in November, I want to be working on a cute amigurumi. And I always kind of tug my tail. There we go. There we go. I always try to plan out my amigurumi as best as I can. In November, I'm going to be doing a cute little pumpkin for fall, because that'll be when fall really starts hitting off. So it's there. You can see my arm is nice and attached there. I fed my tail through the rest of my body, kind of hide it and disguise it and so it doesn't unravel. And I'm going to cut my little thing off. I'm going to repeat and do the same thing for the other arm, and then I'm done. If you want, you can add a little bit of a mouth. It'll be cute and coy, but I don't think I'm going to for this right now. Let me go add the other arm, and then I will do my closing thoughts on the amigurumi ghosty. Alright, so that's pretty much all there is to. I just attached my other arm. You don't have to attach the arms if you don't want to, but that's what I like for my little ghosty guy. So that's all there really is to this pattern. If you're interested in more videos like this, go ahead and hit like and subscribe, hit the little bell. I've been hearing that the bell hasn't worked a little bit lately, so I don't know about all that. Stay tuned for future videos that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be working on a candy corn for Halloween and a pumpkin come November. I'm also going to whip out this bad boy. I'm working on a big mama whale, and I'm going to have a narwhal horn to go with that, but she's huge and I'm pretty excited with how that's turning out. I'm also going to be doing some knitting videos and some tutorials on how to do something called short rows, which is, let me see if I can grab, there we go, a dress that I've been working on. This is a dress that's for one of my Luna dolls. They fit all of my Lunas actually, but this dress is a little bit longer in the back than it is in the front because I was trying to make a tunic. As you can see, it completely covers the bottom and has like this kind of like extra bunchiness here versus when you have it towards the front. And that is created doing something called short rows, where you can add more stitches in the middle of your work versus just not doing that and just going around and around and around. I'm going to show you how I do short rows and show you how I do short rows in the round. So that's exciting. I've got a bunch of other stuff already on the docket, so if you're interested in those kind of things, hit subscribe, do all the things. I've got a Patreon, I've got all those links down below. Everything helps, so if you're interested in that, go ahead and do those things. Alright, until next time guys, bye!